Hello Sagittarius, this is a timeless reading for you. I'm gonna start with the classic weight deck, and afterwards I'm gonna use all my own decks here as well. I pre-shuffled all the cards. I'm just gonna give them a little extra shuffle before I pull the first cards. And then let's just see what kind of message wants to come up today. Starting with the Knight of Wands, Temperance, World, High Priestess, and the Hierophant. At the bottom of the deck we have the Ace of Pentacles, and I feel like you might feel at the moment that you want to take the initiative towards something or someone. It feels there is a certain level of activity, like you have made a decision and you're very sure that you want to pull through with this. But yet I feel a certain calmness, even though you might feel that kind of spark, that kind of fire and inspiration and that strong will to truly act on something. Yet there is this ease in this reading. Let's just take a look at him here. I think his facial expression, it looks quite, you know, the horse is going wild and he's like super certain that he wants to do something, he wants to pursue something, to ride towards something, but yet his face looks quite relaxed, quite. I also feel like you don't feel any pride. It's not a very egoic thing, but it is an important thing for you. And this Temperance card, it just gives me that feeling of balance again. Like you don't even think about doing something with ease or with harmony and this kind of inner balance. It's just the way it is. You don't even have to think about such things. You just feel, you know, calm and stable while you perform this kind of passionate act or activity. And the World card is just showing me that there is a very wide openness about you. Also, it feels like you're not afraid of being attacked or criticized. You're just, you know, authentic. It feels authentic in a very stable way, like you are showing yourself to the world just the way you are. Not thinking you are perfect or better than anyone, just accepting that you are the way you are and deeply knowing that this is all right. And that itself is some kind of perfection. Not trying to be perfect, but just, you know, being yourself. Feeling complete. Feeling whole. That's perfection. And it feels like you're very open at the moment. If you're not yet in this kind of state, it could come soon. Like it's you're open towards learning new things, getting to know new people, making new life experiences, maybe even leaving something from the past behind, but yet also just, you know, being open towards yourself, just being open towards anything, whether it's positive, could be perceived as positive or negative. Like it feels like you're just open to any kind of experience. Like you want to learn something, and here's the High Priestess. Like It could just be some very kind of spiritual state or stage in your life right now. That maybe you are begging for some kind of new experience so that you can gain some wisdom or, go through some growth by experiencing something. We have the Hermit here as well, and I feel like, both of these two cards together, they feel so spiritual to me. I'm not sure if all of you will resonate with this, because often when we watch tarot, we want to know about our finances, job, love life, health, I don't know, whatever. But this feels very spiritual to me. I'm not saying you are inactive, because, there is something you are pursuing, something you are doing, but I feel like for you, whatever this is, it has a spiritual significance. And you want to grow wiser by going through this, whatever it is. Maybe you're even establishing something spiritual, like writing a book, or I don't know, whatever it is for you, there is something spiritual about it. And it feels like you are very thirsty to learn something, to understand something, like not in this arrogant, superficial spiritual way, in this intellectual way where you then feel special about yourself. No, you want to make this deep, profound inner experience. That's how it feels to me right now. And yeah, we had the Ace of Pentacles here. It's just, I don't always go very deep into the bottom of the deck, but sometimes I feel drawn to it. And with this Ace of Pentacles, the Ten of Swords, the Fool, and then here the Ten of Pentacles. My God, I feel so drawn to all of them. And the Four of Wands. It really feels like whatever answers you're seeking for, they might really, truly be given to you soon. And this Ten of Swords, I don't perceive it as a negative energy in your reading right now. It feels like more you're voluntarily giving completely up your thoughts and if there is something spiritual that you wanted to understand, that you were maybe for years searching the answer for, and you couldn't deeply find it within you, and then in your intellect, in your mind, you made up some conclusions, but they never really deeply satisfied you in your heart and in your guts. It could be, that you will just give all these conclusions up, and then there is just this new path in front of you that will lead you to that kind of wisdom, to that kind of inner fulfillment that you're seeking for. Okay, that rarely comes up in tarot readings, and I think most people are not even interested in this kind of topic, unfortunately, but I have just started to do these public tarot readings 4 or 5 weeks ago, and if you visit my channel and scroll a little bit down to the older tarot readings, which are also not that old, just 4 or 5 weeks old, you will find some readings there, just a few where I was also reading, about just people's spiritual growth. There are all kinds of topics that come up in my readings, so let's pull some more cards from this deck. And see. The Three of Wands, the Tower, the Queen of Swords, the Hermit again, the World card. Maybe I didn't shuffle properly. I think I shuffled long enough, but yeah, sometimes just the same cards are coming out. The Three of Wands makes me feel like this is not you waiting for something, like something that you not with this kind of uncertainty. At least I feel like there is something on the horizon and you know it will come. This energy feels quite certain now. And it could still be related to the first topic from the first spread. That you can feel that the answer that you need, that you want, it is near and you see it coming. It could also be that we are sliding into something more materialistic right now here in this second spread, and that there was, or if it's not materialistic, just at least physical, that maybe you weren't only waiting for an inner kind of answer, an inner knowing, but also maybe you are waiting on some kind of official letter as well at the same time, like a written kind of answer that has nothing to do with your, or little to do with your spiritual journey. I feel like maybe either you are worried that if you are waiting for some kind of official document or letter, that you will receive some negative news. I feel a slight anxiety about that someone, this Queen of Swords, will reject you or give you some negative news, some negative feedback. But this is only quite far in the background. It's something that you soon will be through with. It's just a slight worry in your mind. I also feel like these two cards at the same time represent something else. I feel like you are waiting for something to be destroyed, and then the Queen of Swords is your energy, as if you've been waiting for the perfect time to cut someone or something off, or to, just entirely abandon something. And destruction is a heavy word, so I'm just using this as a metaphor. Just maybe there was a whole section or group in your life that you just entirely want to chop off, like this huge chunk, and you couldn't, and you are just waiting for that time. And probably that letter that you're waiting for has something to do with that you're waiting for some kind of confirmation, and then you will chop that off, or that you are waiting for some kind of inner realization to approve, to confirm that this is the right action for you. If you were worried that maybe this is not the right decision, that you are waiting until you inwardly deeply understand that you truly have to, cut this off. And there we are back again, this time with the Hermit and the World card. And it's just shifting quickly back into that energy of seeking, of wanting inner wisdom, of wanting inner maturity, of inwardly withdrawing, yet at the same time being super open towards the world, towards life, towards new experiences. And then, you will act with the Knight of Wands. You will then truly act upon what you're destined, or what you feel destined to do, and you will do it with this harmony and peace, with this inner balance. And it's just actually the same like in the previous spread. So I'm going to use my own tarot cards now. Those are my medieval oracle cards. As I said, I already shuffled all the cards. I'm just going to give them a little extra shuffle. And then let's see. The book, waiting for some information, and also for this inner knowledge, for this inner kind of wisdom. Then we have the Maiden. I will show the cards to you later. The Rainbow, Poison, and the Magician. In my deck, the Magician is a little bit different than in the weight deck. And this is just confirming, let's put this book card and the rainbow card together. So of course the book stands for, is a metaphor for knowledge. It can be a metaphor for learning, but you know, these two words actually go well together, learning and knowing. And because I talked so much about this spiritual seeking, this, you know, that there are some very deep unanswered questions, maybe not only on your mind, but deeply on your heart. This is just being confirmed by this rainbow card together with the book, because in my deck, this rainbow card mainly represents some kind of third eye, some kind of also spiritual gifts like clairvoyance, clairaudience, you know, all these kind of things, or seeing energy. It can stand sometimes for a bridge, and I feel like this also applies to your situation, because it feels to me that many of you are not only waiting for this internal wisdom to grow, for this inner answer to blossom, but also for some kind of letter, for some kind of external situation to get solved as well. It's, sorry, very repetitive. This maiden card, this represents you. In my deck, the maiden stands for several things. She can stand for youth, for learning, for education, for learning a profession. But she can also, you know, when we think of a maiden, it is someone who is perceived or was perceived as lower in society. I mean, unfortunately, is actually still like this today. I mean, some people want to pretend that we're living in a class-free, classless society or world, but yeah, it's, you know, it's not really this way, unfortunately. So I feel like you could just, you know, maybe some of you feel a little bit unworthy of having this kind of knowledge or understanding, thinking like, no, you cannot have these kind of spiritual gifts. Others of you, it just means like maybe this whole situation, not only about the inner knowing, but whatever this information or confirmation it is that you're waiting for, that this situation just makes you feel insecure and a little bit low, and also a little bit ignorant, like as if you know, you're just tapping in the dark regarding, yeah, some kind of knowledge that you would like to have, but you don't know how to receive it. With the poison card, you know, the poison sometimes in my reading, often actually it comes up as a metaphor for alcohol. It could also just be something toxic. Oh, I get it. I think there is maybe some conditioning. It could even be some spiritual conditioning that, you know, if you watch too many weird spiritual videos made by people who, you know, they just talk like parrots. They don't have that inner spiritual experience. They have no connection really to the source or anything, whatever you want to call it. But they think they have, and they just, you know, with very strong self-confidence, they spread all this stuff as if it was their own inner realization, but actually they're just parrots who preach what everyone else has already preached. And maybe, you know, if people easily get pulled into such things and they soak all this up like a sponge, but yet it doesn't make them happy, it just makes them unhappier and unhappier all the time. And they just deeply feel in their guts and hearts that these so-called truths aren't actually truth, and they just don't make sense, but everyone is telling them that's the way it is. This is a kind of poison, because it distracts us from finding our own path, from tapping into our own maybe psychic gifts or just our own inner learning. And often these weird spiritual teachers claim they have no interest, they have no agenda, they have no interest to, what is the English word? Indoctrinate people, but actually that's exactly what they are doing. And they claim they are only interested in freeing people's minds, spirits, like making them all free and happy, but their teachings are so hypnotic and just like mantras and just brainwashing somehow, that we can't really find our own inner happiness because we feel like we have to adapt to these spiritual teachers' words. I think that's a very big thing, but no one talks about it, and everyone, is just in this weird kind of trance, and spirituality became a kind of trend. It's just modern to be spiritual, but no one's really feeling it. I have this feeling. Not no one, but there's so much stuff out there. I'm not gonna get into this any further. And as the outcome, we have the magician, and he can be a very ambivalent feeling, and I'm actually getting two vibes from him right now. Like on one hand, he can be, especially with the rainbow card together, can be someone who is spiritually very gifted, but sometimes also he misuses that kind of gift because, some magicians, they might have some gifts, but they do not have the proper connection to some higher source. So they misuse their gift in a bad way because it's not aligned with something good. They can't use it for anything good. So they manipulate people's energies. And I feel like, this is not a threat, like an actual physical person that is very close to you. That's not what I'm feeling, but I feel like this is something for you to learn. With this brainwashing, that you develop this discernment to not fall for such people's teachings who might appear wise, but if you listen to them closely, they are not. And maybe they, if it's some kind of weird gurus, they have some kind of magic about them and some kind of, spiritual gifts that they can use, and they can play around with energy, but they are not connected to God or whatever you want to call that instance. So they entirely misuse their spiritual powers, and often, you also hear terrible things about them. Of course, not all of them are that terrible, but some abuse children. And then this stuff comes out years or decades later, and this is the worst case. But even for those who don't go that far, then they cheat with some kind of financial stuff or betray people in some other way. It's so often this case, so that maybe this is something for you to learn. And yet, the magician represents two personality types right now in your spread. And this is just one of them. The other side is, maybe even you becoming like a magician, but in a good way. Having some kind of spiritual gifts, but using them in a proper alignment, in a proper way. Next deck, my duality tarot cards. So let's see. Mouse, good. Irresponsibility, imagination and joy. Yeah, so I'm so sorry. This is so repetitive. I could have just laid out one spread actually for you. So this mouse card here can be just a metaphor for small. Sometimes I see the mouse just as a symbol for animals or for a pet. I feel like in your case, it's just saying this is a small realization for you, a small hindrance. You might soon realize that the blockage to your inner wisdom and the blockage to receiving this letter that you're maybe waiting for, or this information, both, that this is actually smaller than you perceived it. And in the unconscious position, we have the good card, and I feel like maybe you have worried a lot about this topic or both these topics, and you might soon, just realize that it was actually much smaller, a smaller problem than you thought it was. You might also find out that someone else around you was being irresponsible. When we get back to the spiritual topic, I've said it so many times now. You might just, realize that some of these spiritual teachers are extremely irresponsible, and we also have imagination here. Imagination, as I said, some people, they have some gifts, but they are tainted somehow and they misuse them in some way. And other people, they think they have gifts, but it's only some kind of imagination. And yet at the same time, I see this imagination card also as your own energy, because you might realize that your imagination has told you, that your imagination blocked you from receiving your own inner wisdom and your own gifts. And the outcome of it all and the realization is joy. And I mean, what else do I have to say? That's a really good sign. I feel like you might soon experience a very nice relief and just, some kind of something, some dark, huge blockage being taken away from you. The next deck is my Lifestyle Tarot, and this is a fun part of the reading. Don't take this too seriously, especially when some health cards are coming up. It's just a suggestion, but of course, if anything health related comes up here, you'd rather speak to your doctor than listen to my tarot reading. So we have herbs, protein, tea, doctor, cardio, lungs. Okay, so maybe we have herbs and tea. That could just be an indication that maybe some of you have had too much coffee in the past days or weeks, or just means that, with the lungs together, it's winter in some parts of the world, it is cold, that maybe some kind of special herb tea could help you to get through some kind of infection if you're having one right now. Maybe you want to include more herbs into your diet and put it into your salad or whatever. With the protein card, it could be two things either, If you were like fitness obsessed, maybe you had too much protein. And for others, maybe you want to check in with your doctor and get your levels checked. I don't know, because there is something about the doctor. Maybe some of you might soon feel a little bit drawn to get an appointment, to get something checked out. This could just be an indication. Also for some, I understand sometimes we don't want to go to the doctor because of every little inconvenience. But sometimes if we have something that we're struggling with for a few months and it just doesn't go away by itself, then maybe for some of you this could just mean to finally, visit a doctor. Cardio. So this could also be for some of you that this is something that could help you at the moment. Also to free your mind, to get rid of this blockage, to not overthink everything. It's not, it's a healthy thing for your body, but it can help some people mentally as well. And lungs and cardio go together pretty well, I think. Because it's a training for your lungs as well. It's not only for losing weight or whatever. It's, mainly for improving your health. That's the most important part. And lungs could also mean that at this time it's important for you to protect your respiratory system, to protect your throat or your neck with proper clothing when it's cold outside. Maybe some of you still want to wear a mask in the public transports if you don't have your own car. And the next and last fun part are my sarcastic animal messages. Oops. Okay, let's see what the funny animals want to say to you. Ostrich, what I don't see can't bother me. This is actually the opposite of your energy, because I feel like you want to see something. We should turn it the other way around. The whole reading felt to me like you really have this urgent desire to find something out. And maybe this is someone in your environment who doesn't want you to see certain things because they want to keep you ignorant for some reason, for some self-serving reason, as it usually is. So yeah, let's just pull the next one. Snail, I'm homely and leisurely. So maybe some of you might feel like you just want to stay at home, which is understandable during winter. Here in Germany, it is super gray. We don't have any snow. It just looks ugly outside. It's cold, it's windy, it's just gray. Wait, maybe I can show you how it looks right now when I look outside the window. Who wants to go outside in this weather? If it was at least some kind of romantic winter style with snow and all this, but when it's like this, Last card, warm. I'm spineless. Okay, you're not spineless. I think you're actually the opposite of that, because, you are truly looking for this truth, for this integrity. Only someone who already has integrity longs for more proper integrity. And maybe you might feel like society around you is a little bit spineless, and that is something, that made you feel a little bit sad or lost in the world. And you just want to bring some proper inner, just like a skeleton. Just imagine your body wouldn't have a skeleton, and you would be like wobbly and nothing would work. So the skeleton brings this kind of structure into the body. And I feel like this is just what this card is telling us, that maybe you miss that in society and life, and that's why you're like deeply yearning for this inner kind of wisdom, this inner knowledge, like why everything is the way it is, or whatever question it is that you have. It seems to be very profound. So I'm going to leave it here. Thank you for watching.